Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are live again for another edition of the Husker Gutter Call-In Show. As you all know, we already got Mike in the chat asking for the link to call. I'm going to go ahead and drop that after we do our introduction here. You know me, Justin Adams, and over there is Brian Moore. If I can put our names up, just remember to do that before the show one time. That'd be fantastic. How's it going, Brian?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. Just got done with a little bit of sparring. Only came out with a little nick, so I'm okay. I'm all right. Feeling good. But let me go ahead and drop the link for those that do want to call in here. 1 second. All right. That's dropped in the chat. So if y'all do want to call in, again, we can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. Just hit that link. You do not need video, just audio. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive into a little bit. Brian, first thing I want to ask off rip, is there any updates on any recruiting since Tuesday? It's been only a couple of days, but
Devin Jackson committed to Oregon today, which wasn't a surprise. I still expect Calvin Thomas to commit to Nebraska on July 12th. However, I think Texas is starting to maybe make a little bit of a stronger push than they were originally. I think they kind of backed off a little bit, and now they're starting to re-engage it. And I think it's probably because they're missing out on some other prospects. North Carolina is certainly a factor there. They're kind of the dark horse to watch. I still like Nebraska to come away with Calvin Thomas's commitment. Darian Jones announces tomorrow, and that will be in favor of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Their whole family is a lifelong Hawkeye fan, so I don't even know how Nebraska got his brother here, if I'm being honest, if they're all Hawkeye fans.
True. All right. Well, we got our first caller, Mike, calling in. Mike,
What's
how
up,
you doing, brother?
Hey, how we doing, gentlemen?
Doing fantastic, man. What you got?
Excellent. Just kind of curious on another show that I watched with a couple of, I guess I call them insiders because they're media guys. But anyway, They talked about the too deep. That one of the questions that they had was what they predicted they're too deep to be on offense and defense. Just kind of curious, you guys' thoughts. You know, like obviously Dylan Raiola and Emmett Johnson are going to be our starting quarterback and running back. What are you seeing? Like, what are you guys thinking about offensive line, the too deep, stuff like that?
Okay, this is a great question.
Because Brian, I think we came up with our starting offensive line, I think a little while back, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't thought about
some flack in the comments.
Did you?
Yeah, because I had Henry Lutovsky at right tackle. I think
and who did I have?
I think probably Gunnar Katula.
I think I had Katula. Yeah. So outside of that, though, I think we're pretty much similar, the same.
Yeah, Pritchett left tackle, left guard could be Lutovsky, but I think we had Turner in there.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken. And then Justin Evans at center, and then right guard's obviously Rocco. You're only up in the air is right tackle and left guard.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Knack might make a move too. I think he's been in the program now 3 years. He's developed a little bit. Although personally, I don't know how you feel. I think you stick Katula out there at right tackle.
I'm good with that. Exactly. And good development for him as well, getting out there and having the play time. But I think I need to remake that list because we've gotten Rocco Spindler since then and stuff like that. So I need to remake that offensive line. That's wide receiver wise. So of course we're gonna have Danke at 1 and then Isaiah Hunter at 2.
Yep. Jacory in your slot.
Yeah. Running back gonna be Emmett Quinton,
and then just for the sake of the conversation, I think that's your pretty obvious one too. I'll make a prediction that Mekhi Nelson probably makes a big jump. If you had a sleeper pick, I'd look at Connor Booth. I've been hearing some really good things post-injury, post-surgery, that he's doing a hell of a job. Very physical running back, actually surprisingly can catch the ball out of the backfield better than what you see on film, because there just wasn't a lot of throwing at where'd he go? Wahoo Bishop Newman, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you got, Mike?
You know, I agree with both of you guys on those. I do know, seems like this is, and we say this every year, I know, but it seems like this might be the year that we actually have offensive line depth that we can rotate and actually bring in fresh bodies instead of, we had somebody go down in camp. Now, how are we going to work out the pieces to piece together an offensive line,
Like 2023, for instance.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I saw someone the other day comment about why isn't Grant Bricks getting any run, and I was like, why should he get any run? He's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah,
like we've built depth. We don't need it.
Yeah.
And nor do
And
you
then-
want an offensive lineman necessarily. You don't want him really starting as a freshman, because offensive line is one of the hardest things to come up to collegiate level and start at, and at a high level. Yeah,
absolutely. And then something else I had is I'm seeing on a couple of different boards. I'm not going to say who posted it, obviously, but you guys hearing anything about a concert before or after the Michigan game at Memorial Stadium? I know Dan had talked about wanting to do something, but I hadn't heard when it was going to happen.
I can barely keep up with concerts in my own area.
I'll be honest. This week's been very hectic for me. I have not been paying much attention to Nebraska anything. My job,
How dare you?
my wife getting her job at Round Rock. So
How dare you? No, I haven't heard anything about it though. But I do know the exact person to ask that I could probably get the answer for that. So.
And then how about Devin Jackson going to Oregon? We kind of figured that was going to happen, but
yeah, no surprise there.
I think what is going to happen, and it may not happen for Devin, but I think you'll see what Nebraska will do is they'll circle back on a lot of prospects late after they've had a 9, maybe 10-win season. On top of that, you're going to see a lot of schools that front-loaded heavy on rev share that just don't have the money next season in 2027, 2028. And like USC, for example, is not going to be able to afford the 30 recruits they're going to sign this year.
Yeah.
And we'll see these mass exoduses across the country because once that money's gone, it's gone. You are now tied to paying that player whatever you agreed, and they won't have the money to reallocate. Essentially.
Yeah, and think about it. That's a good point, because I think about this and talk about this like a lot. Let's say you go in and you get a big class like that and you hit on a lot of those guys, like you're probably not retaining them. And that's another like part of recruiting that like you got to be mindful of. And that's why like class size is so important, and why I think Matt Rule's being so particular about class size, because he understands that. Like, and I think the way they're structuring it is like, we want to be able to keep whatever we're paying these guys, like longevity. Like we want to pay them something realistic, to where we can keep them for, a similar amount or something like that. Like, I think they're kind of budgeting it out for the long-term future. Like you said, and a lot of these other teams are just front loading it, because it's kind of an arms race right now of like, who can win now, because that's what these recruit wants, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for sure.
Yeah,
Nebraska won't stop recruiting Devin either. They're going to recruit him up until he signs. That's a guy that he will make room for. That's
another thing people don't realize is like Nebraska only has the opportunity to really build their value throughout the season. I don't think this is a team that's going to hurt Nebraska's value. And so that season's still there. And a lot of these guys are going to they're still looking. They're still watching.
They're holding their spots essentially, because that's what a lot of schools are doing now. I mean, they've done it forever in the history of time, as they push for a commitment because, well, your spot might be gone if you don't commit. And then this player commits and they're like, well, 4 months down the road, they're like, I don't like this decision. And I think you could talk to and if you listen to like any recruiting podcast, like Tim Verghese from Rivals, or even probably the Husker Online guys, they're all going to tell you that Nebraska had a better relationship across the board with their coaching staff with Devin Jackson over any single school. And in 3, 4, 5 months, that would be a factor when you go to re-recruit this player and flip them. There's like 3 recruiting seasons. There's the early commits that we saw with CJ, the summer, and then the fall.
A few players that have visited have echoed that, like the one thing that like had them Nebraska in their final was the family like vibe, like the community of the team, like I think Michael Terry had mentioned that as one of the main reasons why he was considered Nebraska. Not only that, the way they were going to use him in the offense, but still, that's one of the biggest things that I think is going to help keep players too is that family vibe, that vibe of like community, one team, one fight, as opposed to a bunch of individuals.
Yeah. Couple more things for you guys. One, shout out to Keisei Tominaga for getting a chance to play for the Indiana Pacers to replace. And I'm sorry if I butcher this name. I don't follow NBA. Tyler Halliburton, is that right?
Halliburton. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully he makes it. I'd like to see that. And then
he can light it up. So, I feel like a team has to take a chance on him and give him a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, I don't know about you guys, but they must think that the Michigan game is going to be a big game or something, because I see the university's already sold out of tickets for that game as well.
Oh yeah, I'll be out there.
Yeah, I will too. So.
It's going to be a huge one because it's potentially Bryce Underwood, who's the number one quarterback recruit or top three, wherever you look, quarterback recruit in the country this past recruiting cycle, and then Dylan Raiola was of course the top one before that. So that sets up for a big kind of a big matchup that they could really push on national TV, like battle these top two young quarterbacks, in Lincoln. So I think they're definitely gonna push that game hard. It's gonna be a big one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's 12:30. Yeah,
12:30.
I think. Huh?
12:30 your time.
I think so. Yeah, my time. I'm pretty sure.
What is you guys' thoughts on the one-time transfer portal window that I'm hearing about from like July, whatever, till August?
I think that's a temporary thing, isn't it? Where it's like you can transfer if you've essentially been processed or something like that, and then you don't count towards the school's roster limit or something.
I don't know exactly, but yeah, I think it's temporary as well.
All right.
But I gotta re-look into it. Like, things change in the NCAA so damn much that, like, if you don't stay up on everything, like literally, it's impossible to keep up with. But yeah, I there's a few like specific loopholes into that. I'll try to see if I can pull that up though.
You're essentially getting like the Savion Morrisons of the world, where like, they're the depth chart. They're not going to play, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna log off here. I'll watch you guys online. Shout out to Bone in the chat and Burnt World as well. Good to see you guys here. So
Burnt World.
But anyway, I gotta log off here, but I'm gonna watch you guys on stream. Good talking to you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you as always, Mike. You're the man.
Later,
brother. Always love talking to Mike, man. He's always got some good questions too. Bone Leg Cornfed. I saw something Mark streamed with him. Saying we're going 8-4. Listen, me and Mark, we butt heads a lot on Nebraska stuff. Yeah, Shane, it's 12:30 my time. I'm in Arizona, so I'm 2 hours ahead. So that's what I was saying.
That's a good kickoff time. It'll be hot.
Be a perfect night game though. But
yeah,
with Mark, another thing about Mark too is he doesn't understand like the inner workings of this team. That's what I kind of found out with work. Well, he'll agree with that because like he has to cover everybody. So I'd say 8-4 is pretty reasonable for somebody who doesn't follow like everything that Nebraska has going on with the transfer portal and all that. I think 8-4 is pretty fair for somebody who doesn't do that. But I'm more in that 9 win range. I feel like nine's the number. 10 is excellent.
I think 8-4 too is like, even as an outsider or an inside person who's paying attention to the program, it's still a respectable number because they only won 7 games once in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And can we be honest? Like 8 wins just looks so much better than 7. For some reason, that 7 to 8 looks so much better. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like 8 wins is that threshold of like good,
Yeah, it's like a borderline top 25 ranking where 7-5, you could be anywhere from 26 to 59. It's just 8-4. You're for sure likely a top 25 team.
You're at least in the talks. Oh yeah. Speaking of, I had found this article that I wanted to about record, the Nebraska's record prediction. And I thought it was interesting because it says, and I can pull it up here as I read it as well, so I can share this screen with y'all. But it was let me move this. And again, if y'all want to call in, let me never mind. The link's already in the chat. If y'all want to call in, go ahead and click that for us. But let me share screen here, and I want to show you this nonsense. All right, so it says CBS Sports sounds alarm for Nebraska football as nightmare scenario puts Matt Rule and Dylan Raiola in the spotlight.
This is baby.
Yeah, it says CBS Sports is when holding back when it comes to the outlook for Nebraska's upcoming season. The prediction of disappointing 5-7 season that throws the program into turmoil. Nebraska is not back. Now this is an example of, like, I think if it falls apart, Nebraska's not back. It turns out 2024 season was a bit of a fluke as the offense struggles because Dylan Raiola spends too much time watching Jackson Mahomes on TikTok. Not enough time studying game film. Bro thinks he's funny too. Fornelli wrote a lack of explosive plays on offense. Bro doesn't know we switched coordinators. And defense put the Huskers in too many difficult spots. And it all ends with a home loss to Iowa on Black Friday to keep the team from going to a bowl game. Without the ability to make big plays, Nebraska would be stuck constantly fighting uphill, and the defense wouldn't fare any better. What are you talking about? We didn't have explosive offense last year, and the defense held up pretty well for the most part. Fallout from such a season could be swift and severe. In this worst case scenario, he thinks Raiola would jump in the portal immediately. Matt Rule's job would be on the line heading 2026.
I feel like this is written by The Onion.
Bro, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like
I mean, I get playing the hypothetical, but that's rage bait. Like, that is so.
Worst case scenario is not 5-7, bro. No shot with this team, because that was not included, like, saying if Raiola gets hurt or anything like that. It was basically just saying, like, he's still thinks this offense doesn't have the ability to be explosive, and somehow the defense
better.
Somehow the defense can't hold the fort, even though they have, and this is a better defense overall.
Yeah, even if the offense is marginally better, it's at minimum 7-5.
Huge difference.
And that's like, yeah, and that's even if, like, your special team still sucked. Basically,
Yep.
If you had a repeat of last year with a marginally better offense, you at least win 7.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh man,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I would think the floor for this team is probably 7.
Yeah.
With, like, not including injuries and shit. Like just trying to, if this team was healthy playing out the season, I would say the floor right now is 7 wins.
Yeah. 7 wins. And that's like, if even then too, you could lose like Elijah Pritchett gets hurt, a bookend left tackle, or say another offensive lineman gets hurt, you're still looking at a 7-win season. I mean,
yeah. Let's see.
You'd have to lose Dylan Raiola to not win 7 games.
See if I can find like 5 losses on here, because we got Cincinnati. I mean, let's be honest. All right.
That'll be a tougher game, but Nebraska should win it.
Put them at a 50-50. Okay. We'll just, for the sake of this, we'll come back to it. Akron, no. HCU, no. Michigan, okay. We'll say that's a loss in this worst case scenario. Michigan State, no. Maryland, huh?
Michigan State's terrible.
Yeah. Maryland, also terrible. Minnesota, we'll count that as 2. Northwestern win. USC 3. UCLA, Penn State would be 4. Iowa would be 5. So we would have to drop 1, 2. Let's see. What did I just say? Michigan, Minnesota, USC, Penn State, and Iowa. Was that 5?
That's 5.
So we basically we'd have to lose every single game against like a semi-challenging opponent for that to happen.
It would be an utter disaster if it happened, yes, but
complete disaster.
I can't imagine, like, as much as we've struggled as a program over the years, I can't imagine with the talent they have right now where they walk out of this season with less than 7 wins.
Yeah. And I do like to ask, because, like, not all wins are created equal, right? So let's say we had a say 9-3 season where I might have already asked you this, but
We
If I
dropped
did, I
like Penn
forgot.
State, USC, and Minnesota or something.
So one season, let's say 9-3, and we finished the season well. Okay. But drop like 3 losses, early middle season to some teams we probably should have beat, right? But we finished strong.
Still 9-3.
Then we have 8-4, where we beat the teams early and drop a bunch at the back end. So 8 wins, and finishing less, finishing less strong, or 9 wins and finishing strong.
I take 9 wins every single time. 9-3 looks a lot better than 8-4, just like 7-5 looks a lot better than 6.
I think I would, just because the 9-3, we're beating high quality teams.
Yeah,
and drop a few early on to some teams we shouldn't, then whatever. But if we beat those guys late in the season, I always want to finish. That's what I told somebody last year. I'm like an 8-4 season's not created equal.
Yeah.
If you start the season strong and finish it terribly, your season is completely different than if it's vice versa.
Think back to that Mike Riley season where they won 8 or 9 games. At one point, they're 7-0 going into Wisconsin. They're top 5 in the country, and you're like, this team's not good.
And then Ohio State, we got our doors blown off. That was the most eye-opening one, is when we're undefeated, going into Ohio State. I think the first pass was like a tip pick 6 or something like that, wasn't it?
Wasn't that the game where Tommy Armstrong basically was resurrected from his grave?
Yes.
And he ran back on the field.
Yeah,
but everyone knew what we saw. That was not a good team. We knew that. We beat crappy teams, and that it didn't feel like a good team.
Because that was the year we beat Oregon, and I think that Oregon win kind of put, I don't know, that we took that to the next level of optimism for that season. And then Wisconsin, though, the Wisconsin game, could have won that game if they called the pass interference,
Yep.
But
even the Oregon game, though, as the season progressed, Oregon sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember who their quarterback was.
It wasn't
Crew Cup.
Yeah, Crew Cup, because what's his face was out.
I can't
was
remember
Herbert
who
their quarterback back then.
No, Herbert was a freshman. They got this Dakota. It was Dakota Prukup. They got him from Eastern Washington for a 1-year rental.
Oh, yeah. So so Justin Herbert became the starter midway through the season, week 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so he would have been the starter for that game, right? But he got hurt.
Well, that was our second game of the year.
Oh, was it? Okay. So then it was Prukop, because I knew Prukop was playing, but I didn't know why. Okay. Herbert took over 5 games of the season. Makes sense.
And also Royce Freeman got hurt in the first quarter of that game and was completely done the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It was a lot of
for 2.
Yes. The whole first 3 quarters. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
They would go for 2 every time, bro. They would have won that game had they not done that. Whomever wrote that crap, boycott him. Who's calling in next? Yeah, who's calling in? Y'all leaving Mike, man, as the solo caller. Y'all gotta do something here. Good Lord, I hope we don't lose to Iowa again. Tired of losing to them. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Would you take an extra loss to beat Iowa?
Yes, 100%. I was just about to ask you the same thing. Would you rather go 8-4 and beat Iowa, or 9-3 and lose? I'd take 8-4 and beat the shit out of Iowa.
Yeah. Because my thing on it is this, I don't even have that Iowa-Nebraska rivalry built in me because I'm from Texas. It's been manufactured over time through my family and all that. And even still then, I'd probably take the win over Iowa.
Yeah, I hate when people are like, it's not a rivalry. Oh, yes, it is.
100% it is.
Me, I hate Iowa.
If you've been in the state and talked to anybody in the state, who's from the outside looking in, who's to say it's not a rivalry?
Dude, I have people that I work with that are Iowa fans, and we go back and forth all the time. For us, it's friendly because we work together. But there was one person at work last year on Black Friday. They're like, "Oh, if we beat you, I'm going to talk so much shit." And I didn't talk to this person literally until last week.
Yeah,
that was November. It is July, and that was the first time I talked to that person.
Yeah. Noah Largent, love your show. Appreciate you, man. Are
Thank
we
you,
not
Noah.
taking Cincinnati seriously enough? So I think me and Brian have made it clear that like Cincinnati, it's going to be a tough game. But Nebraska should the way we feel good about coming out of that game is if Nebraska wins that by double digits. But it is the opening game against a power 4 whatever opponent on the road. So it's always going to be a tough game. So, and we know Nebraska of old could slip up, but I think what we're anticipating is this to be a different team. And I think that's why a lot of us feel more confident. Cincinnati's not expected to be very good this year. I think their win total over under 7.5 as well, but in a much weaker conference on a much weaker schedule. So we should, what was the opening line on that?
6.5.
Yeah.
6.5.
Yeah. So
which is fair.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair coming into this season, especially like I said, because like, again, they're taking what we saw last year, kind of a little bit mix of everything, but yeah, we got to win that game.
We got to win that game by
points, 10 points. Can you back out and come back in? Sorry about that. Started echoing again. But I'm curious to know because I do agree. I think a lot of fans are overlooking them a little bit, but to the same extent, I don't think they're too much threat. But again, we've been in this situation before to open the season. So, what are the percentage odds you think we lose to Cincinnati? I'd say 15%, 10%.
I would go a little higher just because before the echo happened, I was going to pose a question or a legitimate concern, in my opinion. Excuse me. Okay, we know the Raiola Mahomes thing, right? Everyone talks about it all the time. You know, with Bussin' with the Boys being there, New Heights being there, their podcast, you have Travis Kelce, Will Compton there. You know Mahomes is going to be there, and you're going to be in Mahomes' house. Does that add extra pressure for Dylan to perform? Because you know also that the media is going to play it up a ton.
But I feel like no, because him and Mahomes train together, so it's not like he feels extra pressure to perform. Like I don't think so. And again, I don't think Dylan Raiola, like I feel like, to me, when I said this last year, but I felt like that Colorado game was huge for him. Like, especially being early in the season, but like for him to come out like second game and experience like an atmosphere like that in like a game that like he couldn't screw up. Like you don't lose this game. That type of vibe. I feel like if he's good in that game, he'll be fine for Cincinnati. You know?
Yeah, I just think it was maybe a legit concern because there's a lot of magnitude on that game.
It is
just because of where it's at, really.
But I think what here's the thing that I do know Raiola's very confident, and I know we saw a lot of jumpiness in the pocket last year from the lack of offensive line, but like you can tell in his demeanor a lot of times that he is very confident in himself, and that's because of his preparation, right? Like he knows he did all the preparation he could going into that game, and coming off of last season, coming into full off season. I think he's probably more prepared than ever, but I do see your point because there's going to be a lot going on. So
yes.
We got Jackson Johnson calling in.
Who it is?
Our favorite Alabama fan. Jackson, what's going on, brother?
It's going pretty good. Just getting ready for the 249th birthday of the United States of America tomorrow.
Let's go. Let's roll. Happy 4th of July early.
Oh, there we go. And today I spent my day talking to the Wizard of West Virginia on the phone. Justin knows who he is, but Brian, you may not know of this man. The Wizard of West Virginia I speak of is Joey Foster. So, and he I can tell you right now, he brings that college football awesomeness right there.
Yeah, he's on he's still on the Michigan channel, right?
No, Joey Foster's West Virginia.
Oh, West Virginia channel. That's what I meant. And we were just talking about Michigan, so I had them
you're
on
good.
the brain.
Yeah. I was watching a little bit of the West Virginia channel. Shane is back on there, so it's like he was out for a few months, but he came back.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, Jackson, do you got any questions for us first before I ask you a question?
Absolutely. Are you ready for August 28th?
Oh, I was born ready.
I'm literally going to be in the process of moving halfway across the middle of the United States when that happens. So we'll see.
So he's ready.
Well, it's only 56 days.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm fired
pumped.
up. I'm like, I got to move all my personal training clients off of Saturday now because I was doing it during the off season. But Jackson, from the outside looking in, what do you realistically see with Nebraska this year?
I think they can have a 10-2 year, honestly.
Love it.
Because I mean, I talked with Manny Hunt on Corn Nation about it, that I could see Nebraska having a really good year, especially with the schedule looking like easy pickings. But the key is, do not treat all your games like they are easy pickings, because when you do, that's where it bites you in the rear.
I think we've learned not to do that. I think the only one that
Remember at the start of last year where we were like, oh, we can get on a little run. We got Indiana coming up, and then that turned out into it.
Start of every year, bro. We had Illinois one year. I'm like, oh, this should be a win. We had Northwestern one year. Oh, this should be a win. Like, come on. So with that, I think like the two, Akron and Houston Christian are the two you feel most confident about naturally. But outside of that, like it's a lot of Big Ten games, so you never know. But yeah, we were just talking, Jackson, and we kind of had it around that 9-win range with the floor at like 7 wins. Was the floor at 7? Yeah, floor at 7, around 9, but 10 is a great year. Can't win less than 8 and be happy about it.
That's true, but I do believe Matt Rule can get things rocking and rolling for the Cornhuskers.
That's because you know ball, man. That's because you know ball. Do you have any predictions for the season? How do you think Alabama's going to do, first off?
I think we're going to have like a 10-2 year, honestly. 10-2, 11-1. I mean, that Alabama-Georgia game, that's like a toss-up. But I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia had a bit of a collapse after their win over Bama, if that were to happen. Because I mean, like, something tells me that Florida is going to snap the losing streak against Georgia. Don't be surprised if Georgia Tech is keeping it close with Georgia again, because like everybody brings their A game against Georgia, especially those Yellow Jackets with Brent Key.
You think Lagway is going to go off in that game or something?
Oh yeah, he's going to be foaming at the mouth, pissed off at those Bulldogs.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
Although I hate to beat Tennessee, because it's like the last time Tennessee beat Florida Gainesville was in 2003. And that was also the last time Tennessee beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So it's like the last time either one of those events occurred, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't even have a Facebook or an X or an Instagram. It was like the dark ages.
Somebody said 10-2, you're my favorite Alabama, Roll Tide. It's crazy. We got an Alabama fan predicting 10-2 for Nebraska and Bama, albeit a little bit tougher schedule for Bama with Georgia on there. We got Penn State, but we avoid the Ohio State of the world. I was going to say the Ohio States of the world. We avoid Ohio State. And Ohio State, I don't know what it is about us in Ohio State. Outside of a couple games, they blow our doors off. Like more than any other team, I feel like.
Frost should have beat them that one year, and then they choked like usual.
2021.
This year they
should have beat them too.
All right, if I run, Jackson, I want to run through our schedule with you.
Absolutely.
And, I want to see where you think the losses are. So we got Cincinnati to open the season in the Chiefs Stadium at Arrowhead, which will probably be like a home game for Nebraska.
Yeah, 60,000 tickets have been sold for over 60 for Nebraska in a 75,000 seat stadium.
It's crazy.
I mean, if it was Luke Fickell's Cincy, then it'd be a toss-up game. But you got Scott Satterfield, Cincinnati. That's a more than likely Nebraska win right there.
Yeah, we don't like that. We don't like the last name Satterfield in these parts.
Nobody does. No sane human being does.
Yeah, it's a name that should not be synonymous with coaching football. Akron week 2, Houston
Win.
Christian week 3.
Win.
All right, Michigan at Nebraska, September 20th, week 4.
Michigan does not have their head coach.
Yeah,
and that's gonna hurt like hell for the Wolverines.
Yep. We got somebody in the back. 1 second, Caden. I'll be right with you. I'm just gonna run through this a little bit. So who do you got winning that one?
Nebraska.
Okay. Michigan State at Nebraska.
That is a Nebraska win.
Nebraska at Maryland.
Win.
Nebraska at Minnesota.
Toss up, because I know Minnesota somehow is just gonna keep it close with them.
They play us tough.
And
Yep.
Friday night under the lights.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you think that nobody's gonna be watching Nebraska Minnesota on Friday night? You're crazy. People are gonna watch Nebraska Minnesota on a Friday night, and if people think that game is boring, let me tell you right now, that's just gonna fire the field for Minnesota right there.
Yep.
Look, I can attest that atmosphere in Minnesota at a night game. I was there for the season
crazy.
opener. It's unbelievable for 50,000 fans.
Yeah.
Raucous it is. The student section is something I envy. I wish our student section had all the cool things that Minnesota's.
Hold on, I'm gonna run it through a couple more so we can get Caden in here. Let's see. So Northwestern at Nebraska.
Win for Nebraska.
USC at Nebraska.
Toss up. I don't know which USC we're gonna get.
Nebraska at UCLA.
Win for Nebraska. They get revenge.
Nebraska at Penn State. Loss.
Unfortunately, that's a loss for Nebraska.
Iowa at Nebraska.
Win for Nebraska.
Okay, so you got our toss-ups as USC, Minnesota, and the loss is Penn State. So it's looking right along the lines of your 10-2 projection.
Yeah,
we should beat Minnesota. Should.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Once I've got my Phil Steele magazine ordered, I'm gonna be like flipping a coin between Minnesota and USC. To be honest.
Okay, but just so you know, Phil Steele put in there that Nebraska's quarterback is Dominic Raiola. And he's indeed not the quarterback.
True. Can confirm. What's up, Caden?
Arriving a little late. Had some things going on, but how y'all doing in Nebraska over there?
We're doing fantastic, man. How you feeling?
As always, you guys have my dear friend / arch rival Jackson Johnson of the Crimson Tide live on the show, which, to be honest, Jackson Johnson is impressive, but I mean the dude.
Don't go after our boy Jackson here. Them's fighting
because I respect y'all boys. I'm not gonna go after Jackson. That's for 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I knock him out.
You got any questions?
No, I just gotta say Nebraska's schedule for what it is. I mean, there's a lot of there's some toss-up games, but then you got the ones that, Nebraska can win, and then there's the one game that Nebraska has really got to strap up, sack up, and got to really saddle up for, and that's against Ohio State, which, let's be honest, that one is a that's going to be a barbecue. And
we don't have Ohio State on the schedule this year.
Yeah, we play Penn State.
Penn State.
Really?
Yep.
I thought it was Ohio State this year.
No, we played Ohio State last year.
Yeah, that's right. We would.
No. We played Penn State for the last 10 years, or Ohio State for the last 10 years. It feels like.
Yeah, we.
Oh yeah, and that's right. We whooped y'all. But you know what?
I just got done talking about. Literally, just said that. So it's not. You're not hurting my feelings. Trust me.
Oh, I know I ain't hurting your feelings. It's just the one next to me here in the Alabama hand knows it hurts them.
I picked Ohio State to win the Natty. So me and Ohio State, I'm cool with Ohio State because during COVID, they were the ones that were trying to play football with us. They were the school that we were like an alliance with to try to play football instead of shutting everything down. Michigan
you always
like
gotta
over taking it.
Well, I mean,
we don't want to play.
Well, I mean, you always got to trust the defending national champion, 9-time undisputed national champion, the Ohio State University Buckeyes, for that specific reason. And we're also the team that went 60 minutes toe-to-toe with one of the most elite defenses in the country, that being said from Georgia in the playoffs, which everybody still says that's the greatest national championship game of within the last 5-6 years. And if you ask any Ohio State Georgia fan, they'll tell you that's the best national championship semifinal game. No questions asked.
Got any predictions for Nebraska?
I'm going to say Nebraska has got at least an 8-4 chance,
I like it.
but could go 9-3 depending on how Nebraska's offense can hold up, especially against Penn State. That's the one I'm really keeping my eyes open on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But like I said, in the world of college football, you never know what's going to happen, and you don't know if let's say TCU comes back and upsets the Big 12 and tries to win a national championship. Like that's happened before. Cincinnati, our little brothers from down south, decided to go up and play Alabama in the national championship game, which that one we told them, yeah, you had to train a little bit extra harder for that one. But that's a whole nother subject for another day.
Yeah. So do you think in this season, I'm curious, the Michigan, do you think y'all win the Natty without the Michigan loss, or do you think that lit a fire?
I feel like the Michigan loss really now, because that rivalry game
springboarded y'all.
Like y'all, like here, let me be honest with you. I wanted it to be the same rivalry game as it always is. But it seems like with all the shenanigans Michigan's going down with, I mean, let's be honest, it's not the same game as it is. And if we even lose, like we're still going to go to the playoffs at 11-1.
Yeah.
Like we're still going. And even if we win that game, it's not going to matter. Because we win that game, we're going undefeated into the playoffs, win the Big Ten title, and whoever plays us the Big Ten title, and if it is Nebraska, we're going to show them why we're Ohio State, why we play Buckeye football. We hit hard on defense, and we end you early. Simple as that.
If we get blown out in the Big Ten championship game, I am perfectly cool with that. We're in the
Hey, well, you know what? You know what? You're and let me just say this to y'all. You are the only fans on the fan base of the Voice of College Football that respect Ohio State on here, because Michigan, Alabama, Texas fans, oh my God, even Jackson Johnson here, don't have no respect for them Buckeye fans. I swear to God.
I would say of all the teams that like I should be against, like I think outside of like rooting for the Houston Cougars, like Ohio State is that team that probably I like the most, just because the fan alliance that we had with them, and just like I like when I went to the Nebraska Ohio State game in Lincoln, like Ohio State fans were the coolest fans I met. So
because we're the Scarlet and Gray. We got 11 men on the field that know how to play these 60 minutes of hard hitting, nose bleeding football. I mean, that's how the great Woody Hayes put it, and that's how Jim Tressel set the tone at it when he was head coach. And I was just telling somebody, you know what would be really awesome is Ohio State would have John Gruden as a head coach, because John Gruden would turn them men into monsters and that whole entire defense into a really bad man of a unit. And I'm telling you, nobody would be safe with that defense on the loose.
John Gruden,
I can agree with you on that. Like, I don't think anybody want to mess with John Gruden or Jim Tressel. And I know nobody want to mess with Woody Hayes, because, I mean, bro broke a man's camera, like, right in front of him. Like, I'm not messing with that dude. I don't want to get on Woody Hayes' bad side.
Well, that's speaking from an Alabama fan, which even if we played y'all with Coach Tressel, Coach Gruden, you know it would go down really bad. And actually, I don't know if y'all know this, but we play Alabama in 2027 in the Horseshoe. So you know what? I'm going to be watching that game very closely. And you know what? When we beat Alabama,
we haven't made it 25 yet.
Oh, come on. I'm ready for it. Because this guy right here, I said, he's ready for 2027. And I told Jackson, you're basically defying of what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is that y'all going to come up to Columbus like Tennessee. So confident that y'all are going to beat us. And then what happens? We whoop your butt so bad, y'all go down in a bunch of ambulances. Why? Because y'all ran your mouths. And that's what Crimson Tide fans do. Run their mouths. Well, guess what? We're going to shut their mouths in 27 like we're going to do to Texas.
I mean,
and that's no question.
That game's a 50-50 game in my
All right. Let's reel it back in, guys. Let's reel it back in.
Oh, my gosh, Jackson.
Let's talk about
talk
about 2025.
I know,
Texas,
right?
The Texas game? No question. That's going to be a defensive shutdown game, Jackson. I said it to Mark earlier today that Arch Manning is overrated. And guess what? When he comes up to Columbus, plays my boys at home, that's going to be a no-question blowout game against Arch Manning. Arch Manning's going to get sacked, through interceptions. Hell, he's going to at least get 4 interceptions.
What, Jackson, what's your thoughts on Arch? because there seems to be like it's either the extreme one way or the
I
extreme the
think
other.
honestly,
I think he's
if
going to be
his
really
name
good.
wasn't Manning, we wouldn't be hearing about him in the
I
first.
think he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got the legs and the arm and the height, like everything that he needs in terms of attributes physically, like is the perfect build for, So
Well,
I
here's
think
the thing, Nebraska fans.
too.
Well, here's the thing, fellas. He's got most of his talents from his grandfather, and he's admitted it, who is Archie Manning, the former quarterback of Ole Miss. He's got his athletic abilities, but he's also got the arm of both of his uncles, who one's a Hall of Famer and the other one's about to go into the Hall of Fame, which, I mean, come on. Everybody just knows his game because he played in blowout games for Texas.
So he's got the arm of 2 Hall of Famers.
His uncles, Peyton and Eli Manning.
Yeah. So and he's going to be bad.
Well, I'm going to show you. He ain't winning against Ohio State's defense.
The way you just described him made him sound like the perfect quarterback.
No,
Yeah,
because here's the thing. That's what, in my opinion, makes him overrated. Is that he's got his uncle's arm, but he's got his grandfather's body of a younger version of his grandfather. Athletic, but he's got the arm. But yet, the only time he used that arm was in games that pretty much everybody said Texas was going to win. And then when he had to play Georgia twice in Ohio State in the national championship game with Quinn Ewers, I mean, he couldn't beat 2 defenses that were elite. And let's be honest, he's not winning against because they know what Arch Manning is going to do. They know how to prepare for somebody like him.
The thing
because
about
if he tries to, here's the thing: he tries to escape out of the pocket, he's going to get hit.
It's the prospect of what he's going to be. Like last year, looking at the first year, he barely got any experience going against elite defenses, and that's how we're like judging. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to give it because it's development. He's gonna.
That's why DJ Lagaway gets so much hype because he didn't really do much last year, but you see certain things. You're like athleticism, arm talent.
What I saw in Arch,
this kid's great.
What I saw in Arch, I think he's going to be a damn good quarterback.
So what if Archie Manning comes into Columbus and beats Ohio State because you lost pretty much your entire offense and defensive line and you don't know who your quarterback is?
I'm going to be completely honest. That's not happening because with our defense, and I said this before to a comparison with Georgia. Georgia lost 15. Hold on. Georgia lost 15 starters to the NFL draft, and then the next season they went out and blew Oregon out 49-3. So we could do the same thing to Texas. We could blow them out.
This is
and even still,
Manning.
And I'm telling you, we will blow them out. And it's not impossible to blow out the nephew of Eli and Peyton Manning. Like, it's not impossible. The guy's no God.
No, it's not. He's just I'm not arguing that. There's potential, but I'm just saying Arch. I think he's going to be better than you give him credit for.
I wouldn't put your money on Arch Manning by not even $1 on him.
Well, your breakdown.
Would you take him or Julian Sayin?
Your breakdown of him didn't give any confidence to your opinion of him. It really sided with mine more. So I don't think you have a legitimate argument, but we'll rock with it.
I mean, I'm just saying my opinion.
Brian,
I mean, if it's a problem with my opinion, then someone's got an issue with my opinion.
Nope. No, that's
nobody's got any issues with your opinions, man.
What are you talking about, bro? Man. You're playing the victim to yourself. Like you just started victimizing yourself.
Would you take?
I'm just saying, like, hold on here. I'm just saying, at least. Here's the thing. I'm telling you, Arch Manning is overrated. He's overhyped, and he needs at least a little bit more, getting into the system at Texas. He cannot just be going out there and blowing a bunch of teams out that are nobodies.
So you just left the window opportunity open for development. So you threw it in that time. So at least we know there's potential he could develop. You threw something in there extra. So we'll go with that one.
You think he doesn't have the size?
But here's the thing. If he cannot beat any top opponents, like I mentioned, Ohio State and Georgia, then there's going to be serious issues with him.
Yeah.
Because he cannot win the big games, then
Brian, question
I don't see how that's a good quarterback.
Do you
Brian,
think he doesn't have the size to play at this level? Like, is he not big enough?
No, honestly, no.
He's
Okay, well, he's 5 inches taller than
230.
Julian Sayin and 20 pounds heavier. So does that translate to Julian Sayin?
He's 6'40". He's 6'4", 230. But probably bigger than that now.
And Julian Sayin's 6 foot 210.
I'm just saying, for how many times he's going to get sacked, that's what I'm talking
well,
about.
I love this guy.
so
Caden, you're awesome.
replacing your entire offensive line. So if Julian Sayin gets sacked all the time, then who do you go to? Lincoln Keenholz, who's also never played a college snap and who is 6'4" and 190 pounds soaking wet.
I love it. Caden, you need to call him more. I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
I always
fun.
get
fun.
a big laugh out of Caden. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he's-
makes
he's- I
everybody's
like
day.
it.
What can I
It's
say?
fun. It's
Well,
fun.
I'll just say this to you, Nebraska fans. Just wait till Ohio State's offense explodes against Texas, and you'll really see how much we prepared
I hate
with
Texas.
Julian Saying.
I hate
'Cause
Texas. I'm going to be rooting for Ohio State in that game.
There you go.
So I'm not going to be upset.
Because I'll say this, I've been paying attention to Ohio State's Instagrams and social media very closely on Julian Saying. And let's just say he's looking really good with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate right there.
Take it.
And now that Chris Henry Jr. is coming, woo,
Okay.
man.
Come in and had never played. Doesn't he need more time to learn the system though? Because he's only been there for 1 year.
Hey, some quarterbacks have the ability to learn quicker, but some of them still need to get schooled.
One thing I will caution you about as a Nebraska fan is like, be careful getting too into the clips of other stuff off season, other stuff like that. We hype ourselves up every off season because of the clips that we see from camp.
Or is that from your brain getting busted open every time Ohio State whooped y'all's butt? Because that could be the case either way.
I don't think I was involved on the field in that, to be honest. So,
well, I think it's pretty much 100% that case, and I could tell.
I feel like you're just trying too hard to be overly aggressive, Ohio State, and it's not really working.
Well, at least Ohio State has 9 national championship rings, one of the best defenses in the country, and one of the best receiver duos in the country. And now Julian Sayin has already got a good amount of weapons on offense, and our defense, well, that's just another unit, just ready about to dominate as it should.
I'm really happy for you. I really am.
Yeah, they just.
I mean, it says the Nebraska thing. It's like y'all are lucky we don't come over there and storm y'all.
Bro,
like, come on now.
Even when we're nice, he's still just going.
I mean, I'm being generous here, gentlemen. I mean, I'm generous to Jackson.
I feel like you're very angry inside.
I mean,
wow.
I'm pretty generous to Jackson. I give Jackson free lessons.
I'm just kind of laughing because, like, I always get a laugh from this guy. Like, I love, like, it's like you bring out like some takes that are pretty funny and pretty cool at the same time. It's like you always bring out a big laugh. Like,
but then he says the most wild off the wall shit you ever heard in your life.
That's what gets me laughing. I love it.
Jackson's IT guy. Replace that emblem of Auburn. Auburn ain't nobody. Get out of here.
Sure, calling shows are a good idea, Shane. Shane, listen, we expect them to go off the rails until football gets here. Brian is pointing out this dude's hypocrisy left and right. Exactly. Brian,
and I'm gonna be sitting here, and I'm gonna be sitting out of my truck by a cornfield, listening to the news that Ohio State beat Texas bad.
Ron T says we need to get you off the show.
NU's gonna whoop OSU so bad.
Yeah, bro. we're just like you, we're circling 2035 on our calendars.
This guy is the
6th grade quarterback commit Nebraska has in 2035 comes through and just torches you guys in Columbus. He needs to grow
that ain't gonna happen.
The kid's a 6th grade QB. He's a stud. When he plays you guys in 2035, he's going to dice you up. I'm telling you.
You better look out. I'm going to be on a walker when we make it to that game. Sounds like you looking out for 2027.
And our defensive class is still going to rock and roll, and it's still going to barbecue. So
barbecue?
I ain't going to be scared.
Barbecue.
Barbecue, y'all.
That Ohio State.
Sorry,
education
I got
going through.
too much of an Ohio accent for a Nebraska boy.
I don't know what that accent is, to be honest.
None of us are in Nebraska.
I'm from Texas,
I'm from Bama.
and I'm in Phoenix.
I live in Kansas, and I'm moving to Texas in 6 or 8
But I'll
weeks.
leave it to you fellas to decide whether Nebraska actually would play Ohio State on a regular season game. Because let's be honest, y'all couldn't beat us in the horseshoe or at Nebraska. You still couldn't beat us. And I don't even know why Jackson here, the Crimson Tide clown, has even the guts to say, "Oh wow, Alabama's this and this and this." When I heard a bunch of your fans on Twitter overhyping Keelan Russell and Ty Simpson, well, you can tell them to shut up because that boy ain't nothing.
Ron
That
T,
boy ain't going to be a good quarterback at Bama. As
I
long as
agree with
Georgia's ruling the
Ron T
SEC,
here.
yeah, I'd watch your mouth.
Ron T, I agree here. That is not an Ohio accent. Get the train back on track. No.
But I'll leave it to y'all. So go Bucks, and I'm going to be enjoying my national championship reign.
Yeah, go do that. I'm happy the Ohio State Buckeyes are his entire identity.
Try not to laugh.
Nah, bro, I was just letting him go. I was just because sometimes it's just fun to let people ramble and just say stupid off the wall stuff.
I know.
Dude, I set him up because I knew he would say that Archie Manning was too small, knowing that he was substantially bigger than Julian Satan. I was just waiting for him to fucking hang himself with it because I knew he's just saying shit to Archie.
We shut him down left and right, and he still had the confidence. So at that point, it's just like, you listen.
Respect the confidence.
We already shut you down. We did our job. Now you're just yelling for no reason.
Oh man.
Auburn beat y'all 2 times they played. Jackson's IT guy.
Yeah,
Is he really the IT guy?
It's okay, IT guy. He's off the Nebraska show for tonight. He's probably getting ready to go call it on the Bama show.
Barbecue.
Oh,
He's
man.
annoying. Yeah, Ron T. Sometimes it's fun to have annoying people on here and just mess with them a little bit.
Oh yeah, he was calling on Jeffrey's and Austin's and my channels the other night, which it was just like he said some stuff I won't say on here on air because like it would get you guys in trouble.
I was ready. I was ready to remove him if he said some crazy stuff that gets us demonetized because that man was just rambling.
There was that one guy that called in during the Jamal Rule interview last week. I remember when he called in on our first show, and he was just like, remember he was the guy you're like, are you running from the cops? Because he was just all over the map. And I was like, as soon as he asked his question, just remove. Yeah, get off here.
Shane thinks Bama Jackson is cool. We agree.
I appreciate Shane.
Nobody like Jackson Johnson. I'm late, so I missed a lot, thankfully. Yeah, Ron. So this is part of it with the call-in shows. Is like we never know what we're gonna get. So
we don't screen it.
Nope. There's really not a way to unless we had a producer in the background. According to him, they ran us out of the state. No, you literally can't talk to them in the background either. According to him, they ran us out of the stadium. Yeah, I don't think he's operating on rational thought. That's why I didn't even bring it up. That's why I didn't even bring up the game specifically. I think because regardless, he's gonna be like, our defense is number 1. We won 9 national championships. We'll see you in 2027. Guys,
we're gonna barbecue you boys. We're gonna barbecue you boys.
I appreciate
whatever that word was.
Mike, remember it. It's definitely
that's my favorite quote. Like it just gets me laughing real quick.
Barbecue. Yeah. No, but Jackson, any other questions before we hop off soon?
Just waiting it out for the media days, not just for the Big 12 SEC media days, but for the Big 10 ACC media days, and to tell the friends, the family, and the cashiers at Kroger about the magic that Justin and Brian bring on Nebraska at the Voice of College Football Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, and after each game on the Nebraska postgame show during the regular season.
Jackson Johnson, a walking promo. Love it. Hey, Jackson. Well, actually, Jackson, question. Do you think, in your opinion, SEC versus Big Ten, right? Because I was talking about this the other day on the show when the SEC had that little thing where they had the packet, right? Talking about like why the SEC is better than the Big Ten or whatever. Where do you think those two, as an SEC fan, where do you think those two are at in terms of, do you think the Big Ten's there with the SEC? Do you think the SEC?
Oh, I think it's Big Ten and SEC running the show in all college football.
Yeah, but how close where do you think they're at in comparison to each other?
Oh, it's like a 1A, 1B. I mean, you could call the Big Ten 1A, you could call them 1B, and you could say same thing with the SEC 1A, 1B. Like, I mean, they both pretty much run college football.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I think
like it's gotten to a point where it's just like when you see the conference title games, like whoever's in it is automatically in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep an eye on who's finishing third, fourth, and fifth in each of those conferences.
Yeah, I'd say the Big Ten really closed the gap this last year. So SEC, of course, has been the best conference. Nobody's arguing that, but I think the Big Ten has closed the gap a bit, and I think they're going to be battling out back and forth for those two.
Well, what helped the Big Ten was adding USC, UCLA, and Oregon, Washington, because they thought to themselves, what can we do to topple the SEC? I mean, we're not going to topple the SEC by getting Iowa State and Kansas. They geographically belong in the Big Ten, don't get me wrong.
But you got to keep that strength of conference up, yeah.
Yup. So that's why they were like, we're getting USC, UCLA, and we're going to get Oregon, Washington. That's why you saw Ohio State, Washington cancel that home and home non-con series.
Yep.
And that's the thing, though, is like people were knocking on Ohio State for having an easy non-con slate last year. But they originally had Washington on there. But why was that home and home canceled? Because months and a year before that, Washington was making deals with the Big Ten about joining the conference.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and you couldn't let the SEC become like a big power conference. I agree. I think the Big Ten is in a good spot.
Oh, yeah. Overall. If there is an SEC Big Ten challenge, which in a way, is it going to destroy? I mean, like in a way, it helps Oklahoma and Nebraska, but there's a price that has to be paid.
Yeah.
USC Notre Dame takes a real backseat. Any shot of Pitt State, Pittsburgh coming back on an annual basis goes away. I mean, they've only played 8 times since 1993. That is a bad look for the state of Pennsylvania. It is a horrible, terrible look. You got to get the state legislature legalizing that game to be on rivalry week, in my opinion.
Agreed. John said I'm late, so I backed up 45 minutes. Please no spoilers in the chat. You're in for a interesting show.
Right.
What up, Gutter Husks? The Big Ten and the SEC are close, but I feel like the Big Ten is slightly taken over.
Yeah.
Jackson is one of the most realistic SEC fans. Yes, he is. Nobody said anything with Bama. I think Jackson would probably agree with you in the years that they've had cupcake schedules. Probably would.
Speaking of cupcake schedules, why does the SEC not play 9 conference games? Why are you playing the sister school of the blind in November?
I don't like. I hate the non-con games. You won't. It's not me. You'll have to get on to it. Yeah. It's our AD. You gotta get on. Matter of fact, it's plenty of other ADs that do that as well. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm kind of just. I need to be sold on non-conference games, but I also want to see everybody back in 8 conference games, and here's why. So that you can have room for another big non-conference game in all of college football.
Yes. So let me ask you this. The Big Ten plays 9 and the SEC plays 8. And we know that they've been in talks of a alliance or however you like a scheduling agreement, right? Does it make sense from a Big Ten perspective where we play 9 conference games plus 1 Power 4 non-con game to add a second non-con Power 4 game where you are now playing a 10-game schedule against power opponents when the SEC is still only playing 8 conference games? And I know you guys typically, like, Georgia plays Georgia Tech and Bama, I think, plays you play somebody annually every year, don't you? That's a non-con Power 4 game.
Yeah, Georgia Tech play each other annually. Florida State, Clemson, South Carolina, Kentucky, Louisville play each other on an annual basis. I wish that Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, and a few other the Blue Bloods in college football would have more than one tough non-conference game. But I understand why, because I know our guys on Indiana at the Voice College Football had a discussion about whether to have an easy non-conference game or add a hard non-con game. Do we go with what's working? Do we go with the new formula? That's a question. I mean, Indiana's not a blue blood in college football, which, I mean, I'll give them a little bit of a pass on that because they're not a blue blood. But I like tougher non-con schedules for blue blood schools, including this team, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my thing on it is this, like, if the other schools were doing that, then like, yes, schedule tougher. But if the other schools aren't and trying to give themselves an advantage, like,
Yeah.
you got to do the same thing. And so I think it's the trends of it. And that's why I feel like they got to set something in stone.
Oh yeah.
More so.
I do wish Nebraska, Oklahoma could play each other on an annual basis, but same with like Oklahoma, and just have like Oklahoma go back to play Oklahoma State on rivalry week. Because I mean, it's like, there's nothing that makes sense about LSU Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's starting to echo here.
Uno momento.
So. All right, Jackson, I'm going to let you off. So I appreciate you hopping on, man. Just so the people know, where can they find your stuff?
Well, they can find me on Jackson VOCFB on @/Twitter. They can find me on Jackson Johnson 543908 on Instagram, and they can find me on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979, where I have numerous episodes of the Jackson, including my 74th episode with Samuel Recker from College Football with Sam. And they can also find me on Alabama with the Voice College Football. And I won't spoil too much, but we've had a few commitment watch parties on the Alabama channel. And I think you're going to be seeing not only Alabama channel, Texas channel, Michigan, all the other teams. I think you're eventually going to see Nebraska channel have like commitment watch parties. That I can personally guarantee. That's going to be a fun, wild ride. And of course, I'm 322 subs. My mistake, 323 subs away from that magic number 1,000 on my personal channel.
Let's help my guy Jackson get there.
So I'm getting there, and I'm hoping we can get Alabama at the Voice College Football to 3,000 subs. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, we're kind of getting up there with Texas, but I think Texas and Alabama are racing over to 4,000. But on the bright side, I believe both those schools could beat the Iowa channel for you in Nebraska.
That would be nice. That would be. I would love that. I'm gonna drop your link to your YouTube channels here. So, but yeah, man. Again, thank you so much for hopping on, Jackson. What episode of your show was I? Because we did one together a while back. You remember?
That was on September of 2023. That was when you were just starting out at the Nebraska channel. So so that was pretty cool. And it was a little bit after Nebraska lost to Colorado. Like, and I know, like, I appeared with you and Sonny on the Big Ten show, which that was so fun. Oh, there it is.
Blast.
Episode 11.
Gotcha.
Here we go. You and I were episode 11, and Sonny was after I did my appearance on him with Illini Cast on the day before Thanksgiving. And it was released on Thanksgiving. So let's go.
Let's go. All right, Jackson. Well, again, thank you so much for hopping on, brother. You're awesome. Drop your stuff in the chat as well as a link to our episode if anybody wants to check it out. But
thanks, man.
Feel free to call him whenever you want.
Absolutely. I'll be making sure of that, and I'll be hoping we get an Alabama-Nebraska home series, because I mean, it's like I love watching the past highlights of 77, 78. Like, those are fun. I want to see that be a home again.
100%. So, all right, brother. Well, thank you again, man. We'll catch you later.
Catch you later.
All right, bro. Welcome back.
I'm back.
I just didn't want it to echo if I brought you in, so close that off with him. But let's see final comments here. Let me just look through here. Already have to watch Houston Christian. Thanks for stopping by, Jackson. Hug Jeffrey for me. Old Jeffrey. Well, we could have a conference playoff games on our field. That would be nice. Imagine that first playoff game in Lincoln, bro. Oh my God.
It's gonna be nuts.
So crazy.
I'll come up for that one.
That'd be so crazy. So, all right, Brian, about time we head off here. Does anybody else have any comments or anything like that? Drop them in there before we conclude the show. But Brian, do you have anything upcoming that you want to let people know about?
Oh, not right now, but we are at, can you read that there?
6,971. Oh, we're close.
We are close to 7K subs. So we don't ask for subs often or really ever at all. But if you could get us to 7K, that'd help a ton.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
7K. really appreciate it if y'all could help us hit 7K there. So yeah, we're really bad at pushing for subscriptions, likes, and all that. Like we're bad at like the marketing and pushing stuff. We just talk football. So we're working on that. That
Not
other
a
part of
marketing
it.
major.
Yeah, we're working on that other part of it. So, but
the only announcement I would say is I'm not going to be doing as much content over the next 2 months or so, just because I'm getting ready to move to Texas. So
yeah, I'll be
busy right now.
I'll be trying to fill in the gaps there for him. So, but happy 4th of July, Shane. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Hope y'all have a safe 4th of July. Hope y'all have fun with your families and friends. And yeah, like I said, everybody be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Call an Uber, please. Love a God, call an Uber. But with that being said, we have our show on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central. So y'all come find us there. Other than that, we will see you in the next video. Peace.